is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to episode 13 of Sunday Morning Conversation, where we talk with content creators, large and small, in the trading card business and TCG space. If you would like to be on a future episode of Sunday Morning Conversation, feel free to email me in the description below or on Instagram. Today, I have a somewhat newer person to YouTube, but as obviously, judging by the giant wall of money to his left or to his right, has been in the game selling for quite a while. Let's welcome SLabHobby to the channel. Welcome, SLabHobby. How are you doing today, man?
What's up, Bronze? I am doing well. Well, how are you?
Not too bad. So we got your name out of the way, but if you want to do a little introduction as to who you are, what you do, how long you've been selling, so on and so forth before we get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll take it back to the beginning. I mean, just started collecting really hardcore, obviously as a kid, back in the, what was that, late 90s. I'm a millennial, I'm 36. So first packs were obviously, base set, jungle, fossil, so forth and so on. Then dropped off with the e-reader series, go figure, right? So thought those cards looked kind of lame, and then dropped off. And then took a pretty long hiatus, and then COVID came around and cards became cool again. I'm not sure what the impetus was, but maybe Logan Paul video or Leonhardt. I watched that and I was hooked. So kind of went hardcore into collecting. That was early Sword and Shield, so like Champion's Path, Vivid, maybe Darkness Ablaze, just right around that era.
Yeah.
And then went pretty hardcore, and then just collected all the way through Scarlet Violet. And then in January 2025, started SLabHobby. I was kind of watching videos. Let's see, who was it? Some Rob from RNG Games. So GOAT, right? And then Andrew from TCG, Gem TCG, and then TJ, PokePaster. Started watching those videos, and then it just kind of dawned on me, like, hey, maybe I can, collect, but also run a business and maybe fund my personal collection. And then from there, it just kind of took off. Just started really small. Bulk cards. God, I remember just picking up. Here's a small stack from a show I vended earlier today. Just really
Nice.
random bulk EXs and Vs, and bought them for like 40 cents. So I kind of started off really small. Like this was a handful of EXs and Vs that I picked up at a show earlier today. And that's kind of how I started, just, buying bulk EXs and Vs and regular bulk, 40 cents per V and EX, 3 cents a holo, 1 cent for commons and uncommons. And then just kind of took it off from there. That was all Tcgplayer. So went really hard on Tcgplayer and just kept kind of snowballing everything. And then started up the eBay side in January of this year, so 2026. And I just have been running both sides of the business, eBay, Tcgplayer, and then I vend on not every weekend. It's too much. I work full time, so this is kind of a side hustle for me. But yeah, just kind of mixing all three of those platforms, right? Vending, eBay, Tcgplayer, and here we are today. We've done a ton of volume, and gosh, yeah, I guess the sky's the limit. Just gonna keep going.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I kind of started the same way. So, I had played competitively for a while with Magic, not so much into Pokemon. I actually started collecting Pokemon, and then the shop owner was basically just like, you need to play a real man's game. Then he slapped down a pack of Urza's Legacy, and then I kind of got out of Pokemon a little bit. But like a lot of people, you just kind of ebb and flow, kind of get in back into it, out of it. Full disclosure, our paths crossed when I was thinking about my video when I decided to sell that big bulk collection. I got a lot of good advice from you from the on the eBay side of things, and just what I could do with that kind of money. Granted that you are further along now, how have you decided where to sell what and why? Because I think it's still something I struggle with figuring out, but I know a lot of people who are newer sellers struggle with where to put things, use their time wisely, and to get the most money on for every second spent. So how would you go into to explaining that to someone who's either new or in the late stages of things on how to take that on?
Yeah, so I'd say if you're newer, I'd say maybe focus on one platform and get really really good at it. And then once you've kind of learned it, there's a lot of people who's starts off on eBay, Tcgplayer. Get good at it, right? Learn the insides and outs, and then take those lessons learned, and then it's pretty much similar when you hop on over to another platform. So my journey again, Tcgplayer, did that for almost a year or maybe a full year, and then started eBay. And I had a little bit of a luxury, right? I had kind of a different perspective because I have such a large amount of bulk that I reached this point on Tcgplayer where my inventory was hitting 40,000, 50,000 cards, and I've just got duplicate upon duplicate of everything, 20, 30 of every reverse hollow in Pokemon Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet. And so it's like, okay, I'm getting a little too big. I feel like I'm just adding 5 more reverse hollows to something I have 20 of already. So let's just hop on over to eBay. And again, just watching these other guys, just really killing it on eBay, and watching their numbers and hearing them talk about the experiences, it just kind of gave me a boot, kick in the pants. I was like, okay, let's hop on over to eBay, and just just started. I started with $1.49 floor. Quickly learned I'm like, I don't think I'm making any money on some of these
Yeah.
cards, and I, but at the same time, it's like I'm building feedback. Um, I'm getting feedback, 100% feedback. I didn't have any, listing limits like, let's see, Phantom. Phantom, I saw his video and he ran into listing limits. My eBay account was pretty aged, and it came with 100% feedback, right? I've been on eBay for 10 plus years, kind of selling, odd, odds and ends, right? I was doing sports cards for a while.
Sure.
So I had the feedback, I had everything, and yeah, I kind of just started listing cards. Quickly learned a few lessons, like, okay, what do I need my cards to sell for it to make any money? And then just kind of kept scaling. I think you just take what you have, um, throw a little caution to the wind because there's really not a lot of risk, and then just go with it, and learn from the mistakes, and you will learn, right? I think you'll run into blockers, you'll run into customer issues, and you just kind of go with the flow, and keep pushing through, man. It's a thing, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, you definitely learn the hard way, and behind the magician's curtain, you learn the hard way sometimes when you don't want. For this production today, I just started my own Discord channel, which I'll have a link if you guys want to join. But in doing so, it completely nuked every setting I had. So in the beginning of this, you might hear some Discord notifications, which we've fixed. But I've been hem and hawing about starting this Discord for so long that the worst thing that could have happened just happened. But we made it and it got fixed. And it kind of is what it is. So when you're selling or trying to jump from selling platform to selling platform, or like my friend here just said, you lose a little money. It's just part of the business. And that's what you kind of helped me with is, you're not going to get every cent of every card. You're just going to have to be comfortable with the margin you have on it. And then if someone gets a good deal, they get a good deal because the amount of time is money that you spend worrying about that stuff, you're going to be in the hole further. So what would you say right now is your split between Tcgplayer and eBay? Is 50-50? Like how have you tackled where you're putting what you're putting where, and do you do other games besides Pokemon? Are you into Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh and that stuff, or?
Yeah. So on Tcgplayer, I have Magic inventory. I actually have, gosh, man, I'd probably say like 100,000 bulk Magic, and
I
that
love hearing those numbers. It's music to my ears.
and honestly, like that one is, I'm still kind of learning that one. I quickly realized like these bulk lots that I've been picking up, and they've been 10, 20,000 at a time. Decently priced, like 10 per thousand. I've been paying up to 15, even 20 per thousand. But then I'm running through running the cards through through a software, and I'm like, there's just not a ton of value
Yeah.
in them. And I'm like, I think this is sifted bulk. I've reached out to some people here in the metro that I know are Magic guys, and the common thing that I'm hearing is like Magic is just one of those games where it's really hard to find like that good bulk, that $1 to $3 range. But I don't know. How about you? You've been pretty successful on that, right?
So I haven't really gotten into buying Magic collections yet. I've gotten back into Magic a little bit a year or two ago. Because like I've been in Rob with RNG Games Patreon for a couple years. I've been in Louise with Kitchen Table. That's where I've been getting on my Foundations Jumpstart mass box openings. Magic is a little different. It's like I've been so focused on Pokemon that I was trying to like put all my eggs in one basket, and so I know that when the day comes with Magic, it's probably going to be collections that are more, your decks, people who have decks they don't use anymore, or this, that, the other. But in the few bulk lots that I have bought from people, I've had success with, but it's mainly the people I've been buying from are people that I used to play with that don't play anymore, and they just had like card hotels sitting there for 5 or 10 years. I even have a buddy of mine right now who's like, he just showed me his wall. His wall is like your ETB wall, but it's nothing but card hotels spanning back to like Ice Age. And he's like, I just need help finding the value in these things. And it's like, I wish I could find someone like you all the time. So it's weird, but with Magic, if you ever went down the bulk lot route, it's easier to sell those because when you're getting into Magic, if you like playing black and you can get a lot of 100 black cards and you can just experiment and figure out, what works and what doesn't. It goes a lot better for a game like Magic where it's so much more player centric versus eBay or versus Pokemon. But yeah, now that we're getting into the mass box opening stuff, which is what I wanted to do for a long time, it's pretty fun. Have you gotten into that at all? It's a little harder now because like obviously things are so like to the moon that usually those things are only good for like when the market tanks or is like down and people can't sell boxes. There's always the opportunity for those things out there. It just depends on what you're able to buy the product for. Is that something that you would venture into if you can get on it? Because it is a whole nother realm. It's like, not for everybody.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed. I mean, I've never, at least for Pokemon, I can't name a single thing out there that has like a positive EV, like a box of Magic,
Nothing.
like certain box of Magic, right? Like it just doesn't exist.
Boom or bust, and it's usually a bust.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's that gamble, right? But I wouldn't be opposed to it if and I actually watched that one, that one that you opened, we were talking about it at least, and I'm like, honestly a foreign concept, but I wouldn't be opposed to it if I can, have $120 in value out of a box I bought for $70. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me.
Well, and it's almost like a cousin to the bulk game because it's like, I like opening packs. Opening packs is fun, but when you're like 5 boxes into a 20 box order, it starts to eat at you very fast. So it's like the same temperament that you have when you're sifting through bulk for like pennies and nickels and quarters is the same thing when you're doing a mass box opening. And it's just a lot of people don't necessarily want to do that, but there will come a time, and there's a few sets now that where it's possible to do. So I don't want to be the guy fighting over Sunbreons and all that stuff. Like I'll let those people do their thing. I will go do what I can in my arena right now, which is I can right now, I would say I can buy. It's been taking a little longer to get it in, but I can buy it, have it the second week, and then the third week have my money mostly back, and then just wash, rinse, repeat. And then you started using direct because, with direct, you have all the, the wider the variety, you get to take advantage of the card optimizer. Like there's so many different angles to it that it starts to kind of do its own thing. You just have to have the fortitude to push through.
Power through.
Yeah. So speaking of that, like what have been some of the struggles that you have had coming up from where you started to where you are now? Because I'm going to reference this wall of immaculate ETBs a lot in this conversation, but they didn't just show up there. It took probably a lot of work and a lot of grinding to get there. And I'm sure there were some moments where you kind of questioned, where things were going or maybe quitting. So what were some speed bumps that you ran into while growing, and some speed bumps that maybe you get into now, just to show that it's not necessarily grass is always greener when you're playing with, more money than some other people may have?
Right. Yeah, grass really isn't greener. Like you see the ETVs, celebration stuff like back in COVID, like what's that 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Like that stuff I was able to pick up at retail. And again, um, I know there's a lot of new people in the hobby, maybe joining in the last 6 to 12 months or even a year and a half since the start of the boom. But back in the day, I mean, these ETVs were pretty available. Like I'm not saying they would, sit there for a week or something, but the vendor restocks, they'd be sitting there for at least a day or two. So whenever I did just pop into a Target, I was like, oh, a couple celebrations ETBs, and then I grabbed them, and I knew it's a matter of time. I saw what Generations was at the time, maybe 300-400 bucks, and I was like, yeah, okay, I might stack these. But as we continue to grow the collection, I was starting to sell off some of this stuff. But I would buy. I would just continue to buy, um, and yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of struggling with this one. Like,
It's okay. It's just
yeah,
it's fun because I kind of struggle with it too, because I want to buy a lot. Like everyone wants to buy a lot, right? But
yeah,
I can't do it with my current means. But I do what I can. So
yeah,
I've got a little closet of stuff growing, and I'm not trying to like hoard, but I'm also, I kind of treat it like, it's collecting, but it's also investing in the future. If one day I get to have a store, then I can use that to help, stock the store. Or if I
right,
decide to do a rip and ship, I'll have some product there. It's a very fine line between like scalping it right away and like just holding it to figure out what you want to do for it later. But yeah, it's just when you get to a certain level of success, and someone like, who might be new to your channel, seeing, your first couple of videos, you already have this well established thing going on.
right.
They may think like, oh, it's just really easy, boop, and then they're gonna have all this stuff, but it's just not the case.
Yeah, it was. I mean, definitely a heck of a grind. Like a lot of the stuff, like you see the prismatics, you see the older ETBs, just taking advantage of sales. So when I started the business back in January of last year, 2025, um, I really had no idea where this would go. And so my intention at the time was just basically any money that I made, I would just pour back into buying ETBs or booster boxes for my PC. And if you could look at my trajectory on a chart, it's like this really kind of long flat line, and then it's like, okay, all right, let's grow a little bit. And it was flat for a long time, maybe 3 to 6 months, because I was just pouring my profits not into growing the business or anything, but just growing the PC. And I talk about this in one or two of my videos. It's just one of those things where it's like, I had no idea that I could start a business like this and find some success. It was more or less just, honestly, for selfish reasons. I wanted to grow my own PC, and it worked. But to your point there, Bronze, like honestly, I started this. I didn't start this with like 1,000 or 2,000 bucks. I literally bought like $50 worth of bulk and some bulky X's and V's, and
Yeah.
I, I sold all of those basically at a loss on Tcgplayer, because I had heard the advice from the YouTube guys, right? Like build the feedback, get the
Yeah.
learning in, get to level 4 fast, and yeah, it's just this long, slow grind, and things pop up all the time. The first time you get that message where the customer is like, hey, buddy, this is not near mint.
Yep.
This is definitely not near mint. You're a scammer, right? Negative feedback, boom. Get the email. And to this day, it's like after thousands of sales on Tcgplayer, every time I see that email from TCG about a feedback or maybe a customer message, there's still a part of me, and maybe this is for you too, Bronze, or others that are watching, where you feel that initial like rise, like ooh, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's to this day, even though you take it on the chin, you go with the flow. It's a cost of doing business. It's still just it's a necessary part of business, right? You and the customer are not always going to agree, um, and this is where you kind of separate yourself from others that are maybe newer or maybe just don't have the fortitude to continue, because you're going to get that gut check. You're going to
Oh
get
yeah.
that kind of like initial punch, but you just got to keep pushing through it. And challenges will get bigger as you continue to scale, and they will change too. And yeah, you just kind of have to power through it. It's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. Like you're going to get gut checked all the
Yeah.
time. You just got to keep powering through it.
Yeah, similar to your chart, I feel like for me, I'm like right here. I feel like I'm right because in the last 2 weeks, today marks 2 weeks since I've been doing eBay, and I'm starting to like really kick myself in the what because I've done about 2,500 in sales in 2 weeks, and
That's
it's
pretty
just
good.
all stuff that I've been sitting on while I've been focusing on, you know, the stuff I probably shouldn't have.
Dude, you're
And
kicking butt.
yeah.
2,500 in 2 weeks.
So it's, and there's still like, there's plenty of it. But it's just weird because it's like, you get when something's working, you don't want to upset, you don't want to break down the apple cart. You want to let it ride. And sometimes you don't want to admit that things need to change. And like you said earlier, like when you see, Phantom and other guys that do eBay and they do it well and you have success, and it's like, well, if I do this, I'm going to be admitting that I might be partially wrong about things, but you're not really wrong. You're just, and that's the big lesson I had to learn from that whole arc of my journey was it's just adapting. It worked for what I was doing at that time. It can still work to a certain extent, but now it's time to change it up and, maybe have, I've got Tcgplayer mastered. I've got it on lock. There's never going to be a time where, it's funny you mentioned that every time I open up Tcgplayer and like the main page loads, or when I click on, when I see my eBay feedback changes, every time I click one of those links, I'm like this. I'm like, just waiting to see like a number under the red or neutral mark, or how many messages are there. Whenever a new set for Magic releases and there's like 5 product releases, there's 5 messages. My first instinct is, oh my, what
100%.
did I just screw up? And then I see it's all just product releases. I'm like,
Product releases. Yep.
but yeah, I mean, most people are pretty reasonable. I mean, Direct has pumped my numbers up a little bit, but I'm sitting at like the 14,000 order mark on Tcgplayer.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I would say there's probably 100, give or take, of like, missed ships, condition issues, missing this, that, the other. And I probably go a little harder in the paint. I would like to hear what you actually do when you yield customer complaints, because I feel like that's a big, like, I don't know what to do for a lot of people. I work for a particular company in the South that's like known for their customer service. So I probably go a little too hard, but usually if it's like bulk or it's like $1 or $2 order and I mess anything up, it's like, hey, refund the card, you keep it. I'll send the next one out for you. I'll do a combination of all those 3, depending on the, you get a feel for the way that the message is written on how you can handle it. And then you kind of go from there on whether you're going to block them or not. I try not to block anybody, but there's definitely been a couple where it's like, okay, $18 with no tracking, and you didn't get the last one or this one. Okay, click, ban, like done.
Yep.
How do you handle your customer service, and how important do you really think it is when starting with making sure you keep that feedback as close to 100% as possible?
Yeah, for sure. And thank God that it's still 100% to this day. And you actually got me on orders. I'm sitting at about the just over 10,000 mark, and you did that through Marketplace too, right? I mean, you just started direct not too long ago, so that's
Copious amounts of Pokemon bulk.
For sure. For sure. But to your question, really, if it's below a certain threshold, I don't have a number in mind, but it may be anything $5 and under. I see a customer complaint or issue. My instinct is to just immediately let's fix it. Like let's get to the bottom of it. I'm gonna overwhelm them with customer service.
Yeah.
And then obviously as like the dollar amount scales, the order size, then my tactics kind of change because then I go from protecting time to protecting money and margin, right? And that's just a bit of a different mindset, right? If they're complaining about a $300 card that you sent them, you're gonna spend a bit more attention on that than say the $3,
Yeah.
10 river solos that they bought. So, and it's actually a little bit different than my like actual personality because my personality is actually to kind of be a little contrarian and be not, I don't want to use the word combative,
Sure.
but I'm running 100%. Like I'm like my instinct is like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I made a mistake here, right? Am I like, are they screwing with me? Like, really, did I send that card? You start to doubt yourself. But yeah, to the original question, um, your time is worth so much more than trying to be right. I think, like, I'd rather just eat the cost. It's the cost of doing business. I keep going back to that. And then yeah, if and honestly, on the block question, um, condition issues, just kind of weird stuff like, hey, you sent this, $4 card and it should have been in a bubble mailer. And why isn't it in a bubble mailer? You mailed it in an envelope. And is it like, did it reach you? Yes. Is it in the same condition that I sent it to you? Yes. What's the problem? Right. But at,
uh,
at that point, honestly, I learned this from Rudy, right? It's those customers are not going to be your long-term customers,
no,
right?
absolutely.
And they're not really worth kind of the hassle, right? Again, you're protecting your time, which is so important. You can't get any more of that back. So honestly, any issues where it's like, all right, this is clearly on the customer, I I tend to just refund and block.
Yeah.
There's thousands of people out there that are looking for a card, and time is very valuable. It's very precious, and I'd rather protect that than having to potentially deal with this issue again in the future. So there's still a part of me that's like, ooh, I gotta block them. But it's like I just gotta protect my time, man. Like it's just one of those things. And I think if folks are starting off and they're seeing these types of issues, just know that there's for these cards, there's thousands of customers out there.
Yeah.
And do you really want the ones that are just a stick in the side, right? Just trying to block you at every step of the way. It's just simply not worth it.
Yeah, and especially, I think it might be a little bit different with eBay, but Tcgplayer is one of those sites where as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, if there's someone that's that unruly, they will remove the feedback. And I know a lot of people who are strictly buyers over sellers think that feedback should never be removed, but I mean, there's a line. If you send out a $5 order and you mess up a card and you've kill them with kindness. I mean, you do everything to make them whole, and then they leave 1 star and say you were the worst. Like that's overboard. There's some common sense that has to be taken into place. So when stuff like that happens, you just kind of just email Tcgplayer, eBay, whoever. The
Yep.
one thing
Yep.
that I've learned is just having a plan. Like a lot of times, someone will just say, "Hey, I have a card and it came damaged." Sometimes people might, like you said, they might be combative with them or whatever. But right off the jump, it's, hey, I'm sorry this happened. What if I bing, bang, boom? There you go. Like, just don't even give them an option to think about it. Just here's what I'm going to do. Just say yes. And a lot of times they go, yeah, that works. Thank
That
you
works.
for
Yeah.
making that as frictionless as possible. And just that alone, no matter how you actually end up tackling it, just having a plan is almost 99% of the battle of winning someone back on your side. And I
Yep.
usually have like, I don't know, I've got like a 5 row of just bulk rares for Magic and bulk rare, just bulk EXs or whatever, Cosmos Hollows. It's like, hey, let me send out the card. I forgot. Let me throw in an extra card or two for you. The value really doesn't matter. Just them just seeing an olive branch of just a couple extra cards for the time they have to wait, you know, that you probably paid a penny or two for. It's going to do monumental work. And then not only that, but now they know they have someone who, if something happens, you're reliable and you don't have to worry about them, you know, screwing you over. I mean, that's just a recipe for success in anything.
Right.
What's probably like your worst like complaint you ever got, and how did you handle it?
Gosh, yeah. Well,
I'd
I'll
love
say
to hear
this.
this.
Yeah, I'm trying to like call back to it. Okay, here's a funny one. Actual feedback. I gotta find the I screenshotted it a long time. It was back when I was new. Like amazing card, awesome seller, 2 stars.
This guy was so great. Yeah, no,
Yep,
that sounds
total loser, right? Like, I I think I took a screenshot and I just laughed, right? My initial reaction was like, "Are you serious?" I took a screenshot and I sent it to TJ. Again, I was new. I was like, "You
yeah.
ever get anything like this?" And I think he had responded just saying, "Oh yeah, man, it happens. Just escalate to Tcgplayer, you know." And to your point that you made earlier, yeah, you know, escalating to Tcgplayer is one of those tools in our back pocket. It's just, you know, for all the issues that you know, sellers like you and me and those that may be watching have with the platform. You know, I for the most part I find the customer service to be really good, and on the whole, like really protective of the sellers. And I know we have our issues or our qualms, right? But for the most part, I think they've been pretty good. Um, but as far as like kind of like maybe the most memorable, had a customer, gosh, it was, you know, the Team Aqua's Kyogre, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
EX, right? The really cool blue one. I don't know, 300-400 bucks, right? I had this thing as light play, and I was dialed in. Like I was 100%. This is light play, you know. Like it was LP plus, near mint minus, and I downgraded it. I said I'm not going to deal with this. This is pre direct, and so I sent it to the customer, and they're just man giving me the business, right? Like this is MP, man. How could you sell this? What are you doing, scammer? Right? And I'm like,
Straight to
okay,
scammer. Love it.
great, the scammer. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, okay, man, you know, standard playbook, right? Like, okay, I you know, ship the card back and offer you full refund. And okay, let's do a condition difference, price adjustment for the difference, right? Okay, I'm not gonna bother fighting on this one. And then they ghosted me for a while. But this is the time when these EXs, those that mid-era EXs were just, I mean, just rocket ship, right?
Yeah.
And so in the time that it took us to complain and try to come to a resolution, and then him ghosting me, the MP price on that card, like just to the moon, right? So it became like the new LP price that he bought it at. So now he's got an MP card, right? That's now the value in his head.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, hey man, just reaching out again. Would you like to sell? Because now I want the card back.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. It's went up like 200 bucks on me. Yeah, go ahead, send it back. Don't worry, full refund, and just complete ghosts. And then I escalated to Tcgplayer and I said, would you just kindly remove this feedback? It appears the customer is no longer working with me. And just silly stuff like that. Like it's just, I mean, par for the course, man. Like you mentioned, seeing the messages
Yeah.
pop up, and like, thank God it's set releases, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But question for you? Do you have like you kind of mentioned like maybe like tools, but do you have like templates ready to go? Or
No, I have the same kind of like in my head. It's just you know, hey, I mean, my template is usually something along with, hey, I appreciate your, first of all, thank you very much for your order. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, blah 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 blah. I swapped this card for that card, and someone else got yours. I don't have an extra copy, so would a full refund be okay, or can I ship you out all the other cards and then just refund the other one? But I get creative, man. Sometimes I'll, if it's one card and it's $1 or less, usually I'll just refund it and then let them keep whatever they got. If it's a large order, like sometimes when I would do my orders for 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 cards, and I'll get them all right, but without one, I got one wrong. They would say, hey, just so you know, I'm not complaining. This card was a reverse holo instead of a holo. I'll say, hey, are you sure you don't want a refund or anything? And they'll say, no, it's okay. I'll still go ahead and refund it, and then I will eat the stamp, send the card that they're supposed to get out without them knowing. And then in a week to 10 days, I'll get a message of hey, did you mean to send this out? And then I'll be like, yeah, well, I don't want you to go without it. And it's something I've learned at my farm. So I've mentioned a billion times, I work at a pharmacy, and it's a little gaslighty, but it works. Is I will manufacture me being a good guy. For example, someone will come in with a refill, right? Let's say they're going on vacation, and they'll say, hey, I'm going on vacation. I need to get this refilled earlier. Do I need to call my insurance? So I'll put the refill in, and the refill will go through perfectly fine. But then I'll say, yeah, I'm going to have to call your insurance. It might take 30 minutes to an hour for me to give them a call. Do you have time to wait? And they go, no, we're leaving on the boat in 30, 40, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. So okay, let me see what I can do. I'll be like, okay, thank you. It's already through. I don't have to do any work. So then they go do their thing. And then in 5 minutes, I page them back and go, hey, yep, all set to go. And then they'll be like, oh my God, you're a miracle worker. You're the greatest. And I'm like, don't worry about it. And then from then on, I could literally, kill a family member in front of them and be like, nah, Bronze is a good guy. Everything's fine. And, that might be a little shady, but it's when you're dealing with certain people and they're in a certain mindset, sometimes you kind of have to, get a little creative with creating that goodwill for yourself. And then from that point, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you're perfectly fine.
Owning the frame, man.
Yeah. So when it comes to the customer service stuff, we were talking about this a little earlier before the show started. As of recording this video, you actually you just got back from vending a show tonight, which is Saturday. Dealing with those types of issues in person is way easier because you can just do whatever you want. How did the show go? How long have you been vending?
Yeah. So I'm here in the Twin Cities metro. Decently sized metro, and for the longest time, there's a show maybe every 2 weeks, right? But in the last year and a half since the boom started, they've been really, really ramping up shows, right? So we've got competing shows north of the metro, in the south metro, east, west, whatever, and just been getting really, really saturated. So today we had 3 competing shows, right? So we had one in a different part of the metro, and the show that I vended today was kind of the monthly go-to. This is the show, you can't miss this thing. It's the Minnesota Monthly, and honestly, it was kind of slow. But we were chatting earlier. It's summer here in Minnesota. It's beautiful outside. We've had rain the last 2 days, and today has just been absolutely beautiful. So now we're competing with summer, things to do outside. So it was kind of slow, a bit slower than I'd like, but generally it's I was talking about this with other vendors, but I don't think it's good to have all these competing shows, right? When I was a collector, I loved going to this one because I knew it was the bomb. This was the show to go to. I didn't have to think about going to this one or this other one. You're going to this one. And now I think collectors and whoever are just really, there's too many shows competing for their time. And I think it kind of just really showed today in less traffic. So it's kind of a bummer, but hey, as a vendor, right? You run into these shows and then you just try to turn them into buying shows, right? Yep, kind of slow today, but good buying show. And
Yeah.
today was just one of those shows. Like I picked up this stack of like I gotta I priced them on the fly. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Okay, like just
Decent
kind of
stuff.
nice illustration rares, decent stuff, and you just continue to buy stuff like that and pick up the collections where you can, and you can kind of salvage the show and turn it from like, okay, we didn't do great at selling, right? But turn it into a good buying opportunity. And that's kind of been my MO. Then that's why I've mixed in vending now for the last, gosh, year. So I'd say it probably hit about a year now of solid vending. Again, not every show, but at least I'd say once every month or every 6 weeks or so. You'll find me at one of the major shows in the metro. And again, for folks out there thinking about vending, lots of pros and cons, right? Time, especially if you're working full time jobs, right? Like me and like you, Bronze. Like time is a serious investment of your time, and if you have kids, a family, right, it becomes a little bit harder. But I'd say the biggest plus for vending is really just putting your name out there and becoming known in the local community like that. It pays a lot of dividends even to this day because people know who you are. Trust and trust is huge in this hobby.
Oh yeah.
And when you're working with somebody, um, maybe you don't pay the best, maybe you're not the highest, right? You're not the lowest, but gosh, you're really easy to work with. And for people for collectors and people that are just trying to move their cards like that, that's huge, right? And I can't tell you how many times where it's just like I'm honest with somebody, like I can't really pay that high on this collection, and they tell me it's like, hey, no problem, just tell me when and where, and I'll come meet you. And it's like I don't think I'd get that from any other avenue short of like building, like, I don't know, a huge YouTube and having tens of thousands of followers. The community and being local that
Yeah.
vending brings is huge.
I wonder what you would think about this because I'm starting to think that in addition to like the junk wax era of sports, I feel like we're going to enter not only the junk slab era of cards, but also to combine with the amount of shows. Because I'm even here. This past weekend we had 4 within a like I don't know how to calculate square mileage, but basically from where I live, I could drive 20 to 30 minutes in 4 different directions and get to 4 different shows.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the last time, which was probably a month or two when I went to one of these, it was like dead. And everyone was pissed and everyone was cranky. And it's, like a lot of these people who are vending, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would venture to guess that at least 10, 20% of anyone in a show, especially a local one, has not been collecting for a long time, and they probably took out some money to buy a bunch of stuff to set up. And when you're dealing with vending at a show, like you said, the two that I did last year, I did not. I was fortunate to turn a profit, but I don't go into any show expecting to make money. I go in there to buy, to have my face out there,
Yep.
buy bulk. Anyone who's out there that doesn't know how to get bulk, if you vended a show, I wish I had one. I made a little like 3-page brochure of all the games, of all my rates, and every time someone comes by, I give it to them. Not only
Nice.
that, but, and this is something for anyone who's starting to vend, and I don't know if you do this. You seem like the type of person you would. I don't know how many times I go to a show and someone's sitting at a table and they're just doing this. I am a town crier. If there's
Yep.
what we have is called at work, it's called the 10-foot rule, which is if there is a customer within 10 feet of you, you are saying something or greeting them in some way.
Right.
And the minute I lock eyes with someone, it's, hey, how are you? How are you today? I don't even ask them like what they're looking for. Hey, how are you? Just to get them to come to the table. And I feel like so many people who are getting into vending now are just like, okay, I'm going to buy a Pokemon, throw them behind my table, sit down, and they're just, money. And that's might work for a little bit, but once you start feeling the heat of, everyone trying to get into shows and everyone like that. It's like those little Russian dolls. Every layer of the Russian doll is like everyone trying to do the same thing, and it's starting to get more diluted and more diluted and more diluted to the point where there's going to be a spot where it breaks. And I feel like between shows and I feel like between graded cards, those might be the two focal points where it may not crash, but I feel like that's where it's going to start to waver a little bit. I wonder what
Yeah.
your opinion is on that with the general, temperature of the room right now.
Yeah, and I take a little bit of a different kind of like look at it. Behind the scenes, like my professional experience, I'm a supervisor in human services, but I got my education. I have my MBA, but I have a minor in economics, and that's kind of like like it's my thing. Like I love looking at economics and kind of zooming in and out, micro, macro, whatever. And the funny thing about markets is they exist everywhere, right? And this Pokemon market, it is not really this special thing. It functions in a way similar to other markets that have supply and demand curves, so forth and so on. And so when you see um, this massive like not crash, supply kind of crush where we're having 10 billion Pokemon cards printed in
It's a
2025, right?
lot.
Um, for something like don't quote me, but 40% of all Pokemon cards ever printed have been printed in the last what 3 4 years, maybe since
Yeah.
Sword and Shield. And like those numbers are definitely like undeniable. At the same time, the total market, the total addressable market, the TAM, if you will, has grown considerably, right? So we've got this increase in supply, but you've also had this crazy increase in demand to kind of maybe match it one for one or exceed it in some ways. And with the PSA pumping out cards, CGC pumping out cards, I don't know if there's going to be like this junk slab era, but I'll, to use a similar metaphor here, this happened with sports back in 2020. So
Yep.
COVID, it wasn't just Pokemon that went crazy. Sports just went, I mean, ballistic. Like lines at targets, fights, everything. Um, if you remember during that era, and junk slabs just dominate. You were grading just any rookie, right? And people were speculating on baseball. You try to get into Bowman firsts for a player, and they're literally just like 19-year-old prospects that haven't proven a thing. But everybody is chasing the money, chasing the numbers, and grading everything and selling their maybe their serialized first or refractor to 10 or 25 or whatever for these prospects that haven't done a thing, and they're going for thousands of dollars,
Yeah, it
right?
was
Just
insane.
absolutely silly. And now that you look at those cards and they're worthless. They're pennies because they fizzled out and now they're a AAA player or whatever. Like this happened in sports. Can it happen again in Pokemon? Right, in a similar way with
Yeah.
this massive crush. There's 14 million cards at PSA in their
I'm
backlog.
trying to think when did that was about the same time how they evolved came out, and that was like when all
Yeah.
the was it I'm trying to remember, it was Iono and I want to say it was Dendra, where there you have like $3,000, $4,000 copies of PSA 10 Japanese copies going for that high, and now they're
Fighting
like
fans.
$30, $40. So yeah, it's
That was Yeah, that the vintage during COVID just exploded, and to this day has not really recovered. Although it's seeing a bit of a renaissance here in the last few months.
yeah,
But to your point, yeah, like the waifu craze went off. Lily and Marnie, all those trainers, and they popped off. And I think it's important, like, because yes, I'm running the business. I invest into Pokemon, but I'm also a collector. Is you kind of have to take that collector side of you, and you you sometimes you have to think like an investor. Is like, can I love the card, right? But is it the right time to buy it, right? Am
yeah.
I catching a fallen knife, or am I trying to ride this train that's inevitably going to crash? things just don't go up, yeah, like parabolic and forever. Like as a collector, there's a right time to buy too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I think that's something that at least for me, I've had to really kind of just understand, like all those Ascended Heroes SIRs, I want all of them, right? But I don't have like $7,000 to drop on PSA 10s. And as a collector, you just kind of have to be okay with, like, okay, guess I'm just gonna move on to something else, and I'm gonna be okay with that.
Yeah, I trust me. I mean, the master set
I see
binders.
master set
It,
binders.
it is hurting me that there's like I want to attack them so feverishly with like what I've set aside for myself, but how they evolved Maushold illustration rare went from like $20 to $100. Like the Black Bolt White Flare illustration rares have gone absolutely insane to where you've got like Oshawott was 30, now it's 100. Things are going from 5 to 50. It's just it makes it hard for not just me, but just the average collector to collect. And I feel like it's like an octopus. There's like 8 different arms just wailing around, and at some point they're all going to connect at the same spot, and then it's going to be a Thanos snap, and then things are going to go sideways a
Yeah,
little bit.
to me, it's kind of like it's like a buffet, right? You have an endless amount of choices, right? But there's certain things that you're going to gravitate toward, and you're just going to, I like my steak, I like my baked potato, right? I'm going to grab those. But today I just can't have the chicken fingers, I can't have the burger that's sitting over there, and I'm okay with that, because I
Yeah.
don't you know what I mean? So it's like, and I think as a collector, we all know that we don't have unlimited funds. At least I don't, right? Like, don't have unlimited funds to just throw at a collection, and that's just something as collectors just have to be okay with. Just
Yeah.
the same way if you're investing into Pokemon, right? Like, hey, we all wanted to buy Evolving Skies at 99 a box, right? We missed the boat on that. The lesson is just don't miss the next one,
Yep.
right? Like, identify the opportunity, maybe zig when others are zagging, and then try to get in, and just go with the ride there.
Yeah, the buffet analogy is actually a really good one because it's not like we're living in the mid 90s and we're in a internet. Well, I don't remember when the internet first came out, but the internet is going to be a forever thing, right?
Hmm.
You can always find what you want at any given time. It's not like it was 30, 40 years ago. So, will you have to pay a little more for it down the road? Yes, but next weekend when you go out to eat, that buffet is going to be there, and everything's going to be there ready for you. It just might be an extra couple bucks. So, you just kind of have to, like I said, you just kind of have to pick your lane when it comes to what you collect, when it comes to what you're buying and selling. Same thing. You can't just throw inhibition to the wind and buy things without thinking about what you're doing. You got to, pick what you can do. Actually, just a video on it. When you can't afford what you want, for Pokemon, this is
Sure.
a lifelong goal here. This is a box of Fleer Ultra X-Men 94. This is the
Yep.
first thing I ever collected, and I've always wanted a box. I could have bought it on eBay anytime, but I told myself I was going to find it in the wild one day. Instead of buying a bunch of illustration rares that were too much, I ended up having the money to be able to buy something I truly care about and truly, I mean, this will be buried with me unless I have kids. I love this thing, the memories attached to it. First starting to collect, like I've went through the whole song and dance in the video, but if you're always doing, in it, buying things all the time, and you don't have the ability to judge things properly, you're going to lose out on other opportunities. And so when it comes to collecting and buying in this market, it's just you just got to be smart. And
Yeah,
yeah,
got to be smart. Like, I love that you say that, because it's like, follow if you follow your heart, it rarely leads you the wrong way, right?
yeah.
And if you're just following what folks on YouTube are saying, or you're seeing these hype videos,
Except for
and
us though, when we talk, you listen because we know what we're
absolutely,
talking about. But
that's right.
yeah,
Yep. But yeah, it's just one of those things where follow your heart, and try to stay in a lane,
yeah,
and because if you do this whole yeah, I'm gonna go over here this week, and then I'm gonna go over here, and then this YouTuber released this video on you know cards most primed to explode in 2027, and I got to get all of them, man. Gosh, this one's like 50 cents on Tcgplayer. Time to buy them all, baby. Like these things are, and we all get caught up in them. Like I've got caught up in them, and it's fun and it feels exciting at the time, but then it's at the end of the day, it's like, is your heart really in that? And
Yeah. Whenever you pull a trigger on something, you always have that initial like, whoa, like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And oftentimes when you have that, like obviously there's sometimes you got to push through it and just kind of take a chance. But 9 times out of 10, when you get that feeling, that is there just to like think about things. That's the equivalent of when you really want to send out a nasty message, so you just type it out, but you don't press send. It's like, okay, do I really want to do this? And like you don't, if you'd ever committed, you don't have to go through with it. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's
that feeling. I don't know if you get this too, but this happens every time I buy a larger collection, right? And this, I got this feeling when I was buying $100 collections, $200, and the same thing now with $1,000 and $2,000 collections. And it's like that little, as you're driving away, you're just like, oh my gosh, like did I just do the right thing?
Yeah.
Like what if my wife finds out, right? And it's maybe that is kind of that little signal from the brain that kind of keeps you in check. And where I thought you were going to go though, Bronze, I thought this was maybe like the metaphor maybe for a good negotiation, right? Where both parties maybe feel like they're losing a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's actually the kind of like the right way to make a deal, because then if you both lost a little bit, then you both won too, right?
Sure. I mean, there's definitely, it's a Venn diagram. There's a little bit of overlap there.
Yeah.
But no, I just went through it. I've bought like small collections of like $200, $300, or someone who was like trying to master a set. But I bought my first, it was like $2,500, $2,600.
Yeah.
And, it was someone at work, and they were trying to get an apartment with some buddies. So I was like, hey, he came to me right away, looked everything up. Like some of it was moderately played. So I got it for a good price. I looked through it all, found some really good grading plays. So I was like all ready to send them in, and then PSA shut down. So now I've got this stack of like, they're decent stuff. Just now it's just all sitting here. It's probably hard to see them, but it's just like a Charizard promos and EV promos. And it's like, I want to send these in to get graded because I'm pretty sure like 70, 80% of these are going to come back a 10. Sure. But there's also like $3,000 worth of cards sitting here that I would kind of probably want to just move. And it's, this hobby and business really puts you to the test. And how much of a conviction you have and how far you're willing to go. Because there have been weeks where I have purposely like beans and rice it the whole week to make sure that I could buy a collection or do something. And then it still doesn't pan out and I'm still in the hole. That doesn't happen too often, but like you just have to be prepared to be able to take those chances and fall on that sword, because it's what this hobby is all about.
Yeah, it's honestly, that feeling I don't think will ever leave. And if you are scaling, if you're getting bigger, it just feels a little bit bigger, right? But
yeah,
with that becomes you become a little bit more hardened each time, I think, where you're just like this risk that I'm feeling, this little gut check that I'm feeling.
Oh yeah.
Is natural, right? Like I don't think that's something that goes away, and we just have to continuously, I don't want to say like fight or push through it, but just like I don't know, label it, recognize it, that it's a normal part of running a business. And then like that collection looked like it was a bunch of like really awesome like illustration rares and stuff like that. It's like, honestly, at the end of the day, that's pretty risk-free. And it's like you list that on eBay, you list that on Tcgplayer, especially direct, at the right price, and that thing is sold in an hour. Like stuff can really fly. So
yeah, and to that, it's like when you have when you have those cards, it's like sometimes sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. I remember when Phantom even did a video just recently about it where he was talking about how do you find unsifted bulk. And that was probably my first, when I first started, I was so worried about finding bulk that I can make money on. And now that I'm hardened through bulk, now it's like I don't care. I agree, and I agree with him. It's like I don't care if it's sifted. I don't care if it's unsifted. Just let me buy it. I'll figure out a way to make money, and if I can't, I'll just sell it to the next person. And so, but you don't go through those things. To go back to the whole Discord conversation where I completely destroyed my settings, and then we on the fly we had to like get things fixed. Like the worst case scenario is so often so blown up in your head that when the time comes, it's not that bad. I tried stand up once. I thought I was like really funny. I was like a couple years after high school. I was kind of practicing, and I told all my friends like, "Hey, I want to do they had like an open mic night somewhere." And I was like, "Let me go. I'm going to do this open mic night. Would you want to come?" And like 50 people ended up coming. Like this place usually has like 10 to 12 people. All my friends, all my like, in high school, you have like your friends and you have like your acquaintances, like everybody, they all came. And I said one joke, and I mean, there's bombs, and then there was just like the idea of sound, and it was just nothing. And I remember being so worried about that getting up there. And then when it happened, I remember just like, okay, well, now it's all gone. Now there's nothing to worry about. And then I ended up like knocking the mic stand over into the bunch of speakers, and there was a bunch of feedback, and then it did get worse. But then people laughed, so then I was just like, okay, well, I gotta laugh, so it is what it is. And you never know how you're gonna react to something like that until it happens. And oftentimes, when it does, it's not as bad as you think, and you're more equipped than you think to be able to handle those kinds of things. What's maybe something like that's happened to you where you kind of were really just put to a test and realized it wasn't that bad and you were able to make it through?
Yeah, let me think on this one.
Coming out with the barn burners, this one.
Yeah. I was gonna say you might have to edit this one in post.
It's okay. Yeah.
Gosh, let me think about that one for a sec. Like a lesson.
That's the good thing about these is I don't have to edit that much. It's usually just a little, if any at all. So it's like just cut little section.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm suffering from the like. Gosh, there's been so many. It's like which one is like a banger? Let's see. Man. Oh gosh. Okay, maybe I'll use. Okay, here, since I've got it in front of me. I may have to kind of temper expectations down a little bit on this.
That's all right. It's fine. Yeah.
So one of the lessons here. This one is pretty recent. This is the Gengar.
The Chinese one.
Chinese Gengar from like Gem Pack 3 or something like that. So this is an awesome card. It would be even more awesomer if it was real. So this is one of the lessons.
Oh, you set me up. I was like, I was bought in. That's awesome.
And this is one I vending at a show, and like I honestly no excuses. Like no excuses. Kind of a rookie move. And this was just like a month or so ago, and this, guy comes by. He had all the bulk. That's the thing. That's the thing that got me. I think he had all the bulk from the exact gem pack along with this card. And I took a peek and I was like, heck yeah, this thing is a banger, right? I want it. And we came to a good deal for the bulk in this card. And as I came home that night, getting ready to process, all the new inventory and getting it listed, I took it out and it was like super obvious. Just like,
I can see my face in that from here.
Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is just one of those things. And I spent like, I don't know, 90, $100 maybe. And it's a complete loss, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I talk about this in one of my videos, like failure. This is a failure, right? I missed one of my usual checks, right? Just at checking the card, especially higher end cards. Like take it out of the sleeve. They had it in this. This is the exact sleeve I bought it in. No back, right? Or a matte back. So I should have took it out, examined it, immediately found out that it was fake, and just say, hey, I'm not buying this one. But I missed that, right? And again, I talk about this in my video. Like failure has this 1-to-1 signal to noise ratio.
Oh,
Like
it does.
you learn like right away. And I keep this one. I'm not going to hype it up too much, but it's a reminder of like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, not the end of the world. Like, you get punched, you buy a fake card, but guess what? I'm probably not going to make the same mistake again, right? Like, it just reinforces like, have good systems. And if you skipped a step and you failed, like, going back to it, like, there's a lesson in this. And I'm gonna keep it. I just like looking at it because it's still an awesome art, but just one of those things you just kind of have to pick up and brush it off, and then just keep moving on, man.
Yeah, there's a direct correlation to how easy it is to learn a lesson with how much money you've you lost doing it. There's definitely been a few. There was one it's, and that's the thing is, like, especially with the pharmacy stuff, there are some serious mistakes that can happen, right?
Yep.
I've given the wrong medicine to somebody. It's one of those things that everyone does it, but no one wants to admit they did it because it's kind of it's a bad mistake. But those things happen. And one thing that I try to teach people when I'm training them is, when mistakes like that happen, it's not necessarily about who did it. It's how it happened, how it happened, and how do you prevent it going forward. So very similar to like when an athlete gets injured and they don't get back to their full form because they're always worried about the wrong step they're going to take on and hurting their knee again. You can't think like that, because then in doing that, you're going to make more mistakes. You just have to tackle the formula you have or the process that you have, figure out where the failure was in that process,
Yep.
fix it or try something else, and then go forward again. Because when you see cards like that, I mean, I've done it myself. You just see a card, it's like, I want that thing, and then your whole process goes out the door. And that's the fun thing about having this side hustle in businesses. I always wanted to be my own boss, and when you're your own boss, you have to take the accountability. And if you can't take the accountability for your own mistakes, you're gonna have a rough time. And not only that, but to go back to the whole reputation thing, you're going to be easily found out to not be someone that you're going to be someone that you want to be dealt with, because you're always going to be passing the buck with, oh, well, I didn't see that, or this happened, that happened. It's like, listen, if it's a mistake, just own up to it. I can be a little bit, I can come halfway to you and be understanding and still give you my business if you're just upfront with me. But I don't know about you, but when I see some of these vendor POVs and they do some shady deal, or I remember there was one where it was like this guy was talking to a kid about how much like a firm handshake means a lot, and he ended up selling a like Dark Charizard foil for a normal price. And then he chased them down with his mic still attached, and he was like, "Hey, I sold you the wrong thing for way too less money. I need to." And then the dad was like, "Well, didn't you just give this whole conversation?" And it's like that you're destroying your own reputation in that moment. So it's there's so many moving parts, man. It's so easy. I think Judge Judy said it once. It's easy to tell the truth because you don't have to think about it. It's easy to do good business because you don't have to think about it. Just do it right. Have your process in place, and you'll be fine. I know we're getting to the end of it here, but was there, I usually kind of open it up to my guests at the end if there was any topics we didn't talk about, or if there were any questions that you had before we let you go on this fine Saturday evening.
Yeah, man. I was kind of curious, and you mentioned this earlier. Gosh, 2,500 in sales on eBay in the last 2 weeks. Dude, you're crushing it, because like my first 2 weeks on eBay was like $70.
Dang. Okay.
Like,
Well, that makes you feel really good then. Yeah.
Yeah. So how's that going?
It's been going pretty good. I still haven't gotten a label printer. That's probably been the biggest like time sink.
Man.
So I'm still like cutting and taping things out, but there's just, I mean, I found like 3 of these in bulk. It's the band one with the swastika on it. Those are like each $150. They've just been sitting in a box.
Oh my gosh.
I found like 5 of these. There's like a crimp. It's like a Sylveon EX, but there's like a crimp Those are
Okay.
like probably prime, auction things. I've had a lot of Japanese stuff I've been sitting on, and there's been a lot of older like Neo things that are like 10, 20, $30. Just all sorts of stuff. And I don't know, what was the biggest thing I found? Apparently there's some Pikachu from like Silver Tempest or Lost Origin that went from like 30 cents to like $4. And then I accidentally oh man, I felt guilty about this. I used Card Uploader, and I was getting used to how to do the pricing. So I meant to like just up it by $1 and then round it to the next 99 cents, but somehow I listed it for like $13.99 and someone bought all 10 of them at that price. And I almost messaged them, and I was like, no, if I messaged them, it's probably going to make things even worse. And then like the next day I checked last solds, and there's like all these sales now for like $13.99. And I'm like,
You said the comp.
oops. Yeah. But it's, I like the velocity of Tcgplayer. I like it a lot. So having things sit around longer is like, it's not bothering, but also I've been sitting onto these things for like 2 years. So I had that conversation with myself where it's like, you've already been sitting on this stuff for 2 years and not moving it at all. So moving at a snail's pace is better than just not moving it at all. So what's the big deal? And then once I got over that hurdle, it's like, just grab a stack of cards, list them every day. Listing every day has been helping big time.
Yep, 100%. ABLs, right?
Yeah. Everyone take your ABLs. But
But it's one of those things, man. Like you mentioned scaling, like Tcgplayer, I feel like it's easier to scale on Tcgplayer and control your scale, right?
Yeah.
You've got mass price if you're a pro seller. You've got direct if if you qualify. Like these are all tools to kind of help you scale and control scaling. I feel like eBay, at least my experience in the last 6 months since January, has been like this thing could just run on me if I don't control it. And it's one of those because we lose like the mass pricing tools. And I know we've had conversations about getting caught up in buyouts. And it's funny you mentioned that Pikachu. I think I got caught up in the same buyout because I got cleaned out of some like Sword and Shield Pikachu. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, like scaling on eBay, like gosh, if you don't control it and if you have the inventory to kind of to scale, it's just one of those things where it's like you better watch out because you're gonna get bought out and you're gonna be stuffing envelopes for a while if you're not careful. But first world problems, I guess it's one of those that if you've been doing it long enough. There's some nights when you look at 30 orders and you're just like, this really sucks, and there's other nights where it's just like, God, I would love to have 30 orders. And you take the good and the bad. Those nights when I don't have a lot on Tcgplayer or eBay or vice versa, honestly, I could just kind of see those as a blessing. It's like, okay, a little bit lighter workload that night, and so be it.
Before I blew up my store, when I'd be at work or on break and I check my phone and I would have like a 280 card order for like someone just making all these master sets, I'd like, yes, I'd see like the $70 price tag. No, I spent like $7 and I'd be like, yes. I'd get home, I'd do whatever I have to do. It'd be like 10 o'clock and I would just go, because but it was necessary at the time. I had to do it, didn't have a lot of money. And when you're making, I don't even know what percentage that is. 1,000%, 7,000%. I don't know. It's just part of the biz, but
those
I don't know.
Those are huge orders. Like and I'm sure you've had a standard RI at this point, and so it's like when you get that order, that marketplace order for what feels like a standard RI, not gonna lie, man, like you look at it, you're just like, that's gonna take me like half an hour of pulling cards. And effectively, right, your hourly rate, it could be $50 an hour, $100 an hour, because it's so cheap to get those cards. But it's a ton of work still.
It is.
And and when time is precious and finite, like gosh, but first world problems, man. Like
what's funny is I say that at work all the time to myself, and I've never said it to myself while doing this, and you saying it now, it's like, you're right. I just, every time I catastrophize or whatever, it's like, you know what? first world problems. If I bought a card for a penny and it's got a $4 market price, and then some nut job buys them all out, they go up to $8, and then someone buys them all for $4, is that really something that I need to be worried about? I got mine. It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. That's one of those things.
that was a fun talk, man. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Before we sign off, if you want to tell the people where to find you, I will have your links in the description below as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me SLabHobby, all one word. And it's funny. So my last name is SlabChuck, first name Ivan. So Slab is part of my name.
Nice.
And
On brand.
It's super on brand. Like I was like destined for cards or something. And I mentioned this because when I'm vending at shows, I really don't carry a lot of slabs. Gosh, maybe just a handful. And I get the
it's all connecting now. I got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get the comment, hey, SLabHobby, you don't have a lot of slabs, right? And it's like, no, man, it's just my name. So it's just a riff on my name. But yeah, SLabHobby, all one word. I've been running the business now on Tcgplayer for the last year and a half, eBay the last 6 months. You can find my inventory there, and then YouTube, as Bronze mentioned it earlier, been pretty new. I've got like 13 uploads at this point. So just starting to build out the social side of the business. And yeah, ultimately I'm still trying to find my voice, I think. But I think in the total kind of like YouTuber space, I think there's opportunity for someone who's got, like, I don't know, I have a business, education background, professional experience, but also running the business for the last year and a half, along with this collector investor part of me. And I feel like maybe there's a bit of a lack of voices like that in the hobby. And I'm just trying to, again, find my voice, and maybe that is my voice. And we'll see where it goes. And it's been pretty fun so far. Just building a small audience and seeing people click on the videos and watching. And it's been pretty cool. And I'm really trying to like, okay, Ivan, because it's another thing, and it's a lot of work. And this is just a, Pokemon for me, it's part-time. It's a side hustle. But yeah, it's been awesome every step of the way. And I'm going to be here for the ride, man.
It's good to hear. I also like to hear that you're having name troubles, because for my entire life, every time I say my name is Carmine, everyone always goes, Carmen? And it's just like, no, my name is Carmine. And I've just stopped correcting people. They call me Carmen. I've been called Carmen, Carl, Cartman, Conrad. I just stopped caring. If they're looking in my general direction and I know they're talking to me, I just answer to it. I don't care anymore.
Dude, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to reach out and to like TJ and be like, yo, do you actually know Bronze's name? Like, it's like we're messaging, and I'm like, and I realized I don't know his actual name.
Yeah.
And then I think I watched you and Phantom having a conversation.
Yeah, and he ridiculed me and made fun of me and gave me such a hard time over my name.
Nah, man, it's an awesome. You know what? You know who I think of? I don't know if you watched The Bear on
yes,
FX, the cooking show. Yeah, Carmi. Like that came to mind. Like, that's an awesome name, dude.
Yeah, my two references I always have to make, and it depends on the generation you're in. There is an old show called Laverne and Shirley, and the dishwasher in that show, his name was Carmine. He had like this nice Italian hair, so someone always called me Carmen. I go, no, not Carmen, it's Carmine, like Laverne and Shirley. They go, oh, okay. And then for the newer generation, I would always have to reference Gears of War, because there's a Carmine in Gears of War that dies in every single game. So it's like, no, Carmine, like the guy that dies in every Gears of War. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm still going to call you Carmen, though. And it's like, okay, thanks, man. Thanks for asking.
You get Carmi?
Yeah, that's easily the name I hate the most. That's the only one, and that's only because it's tied to like one of my first girlfriends I had in high school. Whenever it was like time to antagonize me, it was always like Carmi, and I hated it. So now whatever happens, even if it happens generically, it's like, listen, I know you don't know. That is not to be said again, or else
some associations.
I will yell, and then it is what it is. So,
sure, man.
All right, man. We appreciate you coming and talking and hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care and have a good day. Bye.